Oh man, what happened? What happened? Oh, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Give me a minute, please. Oh boy. Okay, let me come out of that. 1 second, please. I'm trying to get everyone logged in. Bear with me, please. Bear with me. All right, let's see. Trying to get teams going, and hopefully we can get this operable. There we are. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Those who may be logging in now or tuning in later. Welcome back. My name is Craig. I'm one of your recovery coaches here at Capital Recovery Center. And it's always a pleasure. This is our, okay. Let's do this. Lord. I want to edit this. And bear with me, please. This is our all recovery support group, right? And so I'll say that, we're gonna put that in. And so voila, there we go. And so today that's what we're going to be talking about. Today we're going to be talking about what does recovery look like? What does recovery look like? Okay, we may have the general idea, but I believe this article is going to take us a deep dive. I'm hoping so. And so we're going to look and see exactly what does recovery look like. You may say, well, what recovery are we talking about? And so being that we are focused based on alcohol and drugs, and we're going to talk about that. So this article is brought to us by starnashville.org. You can go online and retrieve this article. It's by starnashville.org. And then we're going to talk about something called An Honest Recovery, the Good, the Bad, the Ugly. That is by rightstep.com. All right. So bear with me as I begin to read. All right. So the article says, in the past, the majority of articles found discussing what recovery looks like focus on abstinence and the willpower it takes to abstain from abusing a substance. It says in the past, right? The majority of articles found discussing what recovery looks like focus on abstinence and the willpower it takes to abstain from abusing a substance. What is often not mentioned are the behaviors. That is so true, the behavior. We talk about abstinence a lot, and most people are focused on the recovery part from using either alcohol or drugs. But what about the behaviors that are associated with the addiction? And so we want to talk about that a little bit. Right? So it said, what is often not mentioned are the behaviors that perpetuate the addiction, right? That continuation of the addiction, right? It says in 12-step recovery programs, the concentration of the program is abstinence, all right? A key element is identifying maladaptive behavior. Maladaptive is unhealthy behaviors, right? And say a key element is identifying maladaptive behaviors and learning healthy methods to refrain from substance abuse. All right, let's stop there for a minute and think about what are they talking about when they say healthy methods. What are healthy ways that one can look at or create or get engaged or have activities that can keep us away from unhealthy behaviors. And so a lot of that is focused on coping skills, positive reinforcement, um, cognitive restructuring. All that is based upon learning new life skills, learning new ways of how to live the new normal as opposed to the old abnormal. All right. And so it says, recovery is a journey. True indeed, recovery is a journey. It's not a sprint. It's not who's can get to the finish line the fastest. It's a journey. It's a process. Uh, it's often said, anything worth having is worth fighting for. Okay, anything that's worth having in life is worth fighting for. Anything that of value is worth discovering. Right? It says a treasure map with the golden chest at the end representing commitment and dedication to your own personal recovery, right? And so, if we're going on a journey and we're looking for a treasure, and one of the healthiest treasure is to invest in your recovery, invest in your new lifestyle. The map would be made of winning path filled with many detours and distractions. All right, and so I am a person of lived experience of alcohol and drugs, and so I can bear witness. I can testify to a lot of hurdles that I had to overcome, and still is overcoming. I'm not a person who said I have arrived or that I am perfect, and so along my journey, that is, I had to overcome some hurdles and obstacles, barriers along the way. However, I told myself, I said, you know, I have to challenge myself to push myself to go further and further and further, work harder and harder, day by day. You know, it says one day at a time. You probably heard that slogan. You know, just one day at a time. Just take it one day at a time, and that's all we can do. One day at a time. And during that process of one day at a time, you know, take a self inventory, do some introspection of yourself. What are the things that I'm doing wrong? What are the things that I'm doing right? You know, and the things that I'm doing right, okay, great. Uh, I accept that. Now let's work on other things. And so it says in this journey that we're facing, there are other personal recoveries, or there are other behaviors, or there are other things that can be contributed, not only to abstinence, but also some behaviors that we need to address. And when I was in a therapeutic community, which is a treatment facility, I it was basically geared towards learning how to refrain from negative thought processes, how to respond uh, in an adequate way that will bring out greater results. All right. And so a lot of times we want to utilize that framework of thinking, this new framework of thinking, and try to figure out, are there some behaviors that I'm not addressing? Sometimes people have anger uh, issues that they need to be addressed, emotional, psychological. There may be some communication. There may be some social skills that we may need to prove upon. And so these is all behaviors, if overlooked or not addressed can lead back to some triggers, some cravings, some urges, or a relapse in own totality. It says, yes, those who suffer from addiction have the proverbial peaks and valleys and every glitch that comes to mind. No, it does not always end with a silver lining, as in Sandra Bullock 28 Days. All right, and so yeah, we're gonna have some bumps and bruises, but that doesn't mean that you should give up. You know, some people, and it may not be as easy as learning coping skills. I'm learning, and I'm still learning in recovery. There are some people who need the MAT, which is known around here as medication assisted treatment, and that is harm reduction, and that is so people have to take some medication to assist with the coping skills that have been administered. So it works hand in hand for some people. Some people don't need harm reduction medication. Okay, but everyone's is different, and so what I may need to get me through, or what I use to get me through my recovery process, may be totally different from the next person. That doesn't make me better, or that don't make that person worse. It's just that we're all along this recovery journey. So let's read some more. Recovery is a journey. It says, the article says, nevertheless, the journey is similar for those who are suffering. They begin near a similar point and hopefully aspire to commit to a recovery program. That's true. For some, the biggest obstacle is admitting they have an addiction, right? So we learned that in 12 step. That is first, excuse me, I learned it. That is the first step to admitting that I have a problem. That is, which is the first step of recovery, is admitting that I have a problem. Once I'm able to admit that and accept that I have a problem, then I'm on my way to recovery. All right. All right. And it says, in this line of work, we hear people say things like, I am not an addict. So that's when you hear people and you know people that utilizing or abusing substances, and they make a statement, I am not an addict. To me, what that tells me, that could be some denial, all right, and so or shifting the blame. However, let's see what the article says. It says, in this line of work, we hear people say things like, I am not an addict, or I can quit anytime I want. I often heard that quite a few times. Some people may be ambivalent about their recovery. Some may make a New Year's resolution, other only to quit before the end of January. Some may try easier paths in recovery. They may forego treatment and other evidence-based interventions, saying, I can do this on my own, or I don't need any treatment, right? And so these ways of thinking may last for years, months, hours, minutes, and even seconds. This may happen multiple times throughout a person's life, right? So it may happen multiple times throughout a person's life. I know for me, I didn't get it right the first time. I tried to do it on my own. I wasn't successful, and so until I actually received some professional help. All right. It says this may happen multiple times throughout a person's life. For some, once is enough, allowing that person to enter a recovery program. Yet for others, it may take a couple times or more. And so it says clients come for a variety of reasons. Clients go to a treatment program for a variety of reasons. Some from court order treatment to parent referral, right? What does this mean for young people? Or what does that mean for an addict? All right? And so let's talk about it. Which bags a number of questions in the recovery field. All right? I said, how do we know if someone grew or learned from the group atmosphere or the exercise? Good question, right? How do we know if someone grew or learned from the group atmosphere or the exercise? Okay, and so that have to be tested. And so one that probably wouldn't know exactly until the behavior begins to change and the outcomes are manifested in a productive way. That can be one way. By the response that a person may uh, render during a group discussion can give one insight of how that person have comprehended the material and what strategies that one is suggesting that they are willing to use to become better and sincerely work on themselves. That's one way you would know if someone grew or learned something in the atmosphere. How do we know if they learn healthy coping behaviors throughout mindfulness, meditation, or the sober leisure activities? All right. And so a lot of times we look at not only the cognitive aspect of one's perception, but we also look at one's behavior. All right. And so they both work hand in hand because if you perceive something in a productive way, most likely you're going to behave productive, right? And so let's go on some more. It says, all in all, if we look at follow-up data, we may not find encouragement. Relapse statistics after treatment are nothing to celebrate, but they are a reality. Let's focus on that. It says relapse statistics after treatment are nothing to celebrate, but to the contrary, they are a reality. And so, if you know anything about addiction or the disease of addiction, it is something that uh, relapse that is are very well common because a lot of times, like I stated earlier, some people may be facing barriers, obstacles, or may facing triggers, a whole host of things that will lead them back into relapse. Some people may need a good network of people that can assist them along the way that would keep them out of stressful situations and environment if possible. Not to say that stress or frustration, things of that nature won't arrive. However, some people may have the uh, less tolerance or the coping skills or the growth in their recovery. And so a lot of times, especially when if a person are new to recovery, a lot of times it may take them some time to grasp not only the concept, but the whole new lifestyle. So it takes a lot. And so sometimes people need medication. All right. Sometimes people deal with mental health issues as along the way with the substance abuse issues. So there's a dual process, and so all these factors shouldn't be left untreated. All right. This is an indication that our society has numerous individuals scattered along the map of recovery. Some may finish together, and others may finish alone. The take-home message, that is, Everyone struggling with addiction is somewhere on this journey, and if you can lend a hand to help them reach the treasure at the end, remember we're talking about recovery, it's a journey, then do it. After all, it's easier to finish a journey together than alone. All right? It's easy to finish a journey than to do it on alone. So next part we want to talk about, and we're getting close to the end, and that is an honest recovery, the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay, and this part of our segment is brought to us by rightstep.com. Go online and pull this material as well. It says rightstep.com. Recovery should feel like hope. We're talking about the good, bad, and the ugly. Excuse me. Recovery should feel like hope. But for many who live with addiction, the magnitude of the unknown in recovery can be paralyzing. Wow. Let me read that again, because when I read that word paralyzing, first thought came to my head was stagnant. Some people can be stagnant, they can be staggering through the process, and so that can lead to a slowdown or a halt altogether in one efforts to overcome addiction. So we don't want to just read that without really slowing down and listen to exactly what it says. It says recovery should feel like hope. But for many who live with addiction, the magnitude, okay, the scope of the unknown in recovery can be paralyzing, can be frightening to some people. Uncertainty about your hope, right, can stop you from breaking free of the chains of addiction and seeking the supported treatment you deserve, right? And so I remember starting my process of therapeutic community, and I really admit that I was new, I was green, I didn't know much about recovery. Like most people who never been into a treatment facility, you don't know the unknown. So I went in, not so much of being afraid, but just I went in uh, not apprehensive. I want to say I went in with less knowledge. And so as I began to participate, engage, and go through the process, I began to learn the lingo. I began to meet new people. I began to read new materials that I never read before. Uh, I began to do exercises on the board and do role plays. And so that aspect led me to learn new coping skills. All right. And so that part of the process can be, it could be frightening to some people, but then to some people, it can be a wake up call. You know, something you may hear through whether through somebody's testimony or sharing of their lifestyle or their previous lifestyle. And you may grasp, I know there was a counselor who taught, I believe it's called cognitive restructuring, CRP. It's called cognitive restructuring process. And I tell you, once after the counselor went over the exercise, the material, I began to understand my situation or my addiction or why I was failing at things that I was approaching much clearer. And I began to understand that It all started from the way I began to perceive or think about things, whether I was thinking about it in a distorted manner, manipulative manner, or a cunning manner. That was one of the reasons why I was getting the negative results. And so once I began to start thinking with clarity from an honest approach, a sincere, a a thought process of loyalty, integrity, morals, principles, values, ethics. I began to incorporate that into my lifestyle, into my thinking. Then everything started to unfold to this new normal or to the new person that's sitting before you today. All right. So I don't want to bore you with all my testimony, but yes, that's one aspect for me. So the article says, fear of what your future may hold, or worse, failure, are powerful distractors from the fulfilling life you deserve. Right? Fear of what your future may hold can be one uh, paralyzing aspect, or worse, failure. Right? Fear or failure are powerful distractors. All right, something that can throw you off course from your journey of recovery, from the fulfilling the life you deserve. This fear and the hesitation and asking the important questions can drive into fight or flight mode or freeze. You probably heard that term, fight or flight. And so as I began to uh, learn more and more about that fight and flight, there's also another aspect called freeze. So either you're gonna fight, you're gonna flight, or you're just gonna freeze, paralyzed, stagnant. All right. Well, getting answers is the only way forward, even when it's stressful. So, what does recovery look like? What does it feel like? It's important that we focus on answering those questions honestly. Worse than the unknown is being presented with an idealized picture that strays too far from reality. A hopeful, glossy concept helps no one if it not the reality of what you'll face once you arrive. All right? It says if the potential roads that lead beyond addiction seems to always end up with you getting lost, let us help you with an honest look at what may be in store in your recovery. All right? And so we're going to touch on what does recovery feels like. All right? What does recovery feels like? And that is honestly, and that is the reason we're here. Recovery is going to feel like a lot of things. Many of them may not feel very good. It feels like getting sober, moving through withdrawal for some, and experience the first tentative steps of sober living, much like a toddler learning to walk. Those steps may be wobbly, messy, and frustrating. While active addiction may have felt like avoidance or numbness, recovery may feel like being bombarded with an endless stream of too much. It may feel physically challenging, emotionally chaotic, or like a roller coaster of experiences from which you can never quite catch your breath. Often, recovery feels more like anger, denial, and regret than the anticipated sense of relief. This truth is, recovery is a grieving process. You will grieve the choices you made and the ones you didn't. Every step in those early days may hurt. All right. And so, yes, you're going to go through the process of why did I do that to myself? Where have I been all of this time? That's one of the questions I ask myself, after using drugs for so many years. And when I got to the sober stage, I said, wow. It's as if I was sleepwalking for all those years. I was alive, but I wasn't in my right state of mind. And so a lot of times I said to myself, you know, I wasted a lot of times. I could have been doing other things. Only if I didn't. Only if I knew the coping skills. Only if I began to hang around the right people. Only if I took the time to listen clearly would I have been better off. And so don't beat yourself down. Don't look at the weaknesses. Don't look at the failures. Look at your strength and look at some of your accomplishments. Those are the things that are going to push you forward. And I sincerely ask that you pick yourself up and propel yourself, catapult yourself to the next level. Do not let fear, denial, neglect, abandonment, all those things hold you down. Until the next time, my name is Craig. I'll talk to you. I share some wonderful information, and I pray that you stay healthy, stay whole, and much success in your recovery journey. Take care. Bye.